Verbally Effective, episode 33. Wow. I am your host, your double E, Ina Esco. And my guest today is Mr. DeVonte Payton. Hey, DeVonte.
What's up, Ina?
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am wonderful. I really am. I'm really excited that you are here today. You got a lot going on, DeVonte. I've been knowing you. How long have I been knowing you?
I think we first started following each other on social media.
It started with social media.
And then we officially met at for TJ's project.
Yes.
With the Simply Giving.
Yes.
Yeah, that's when
shout out.
It was like, nice to meet you in person.
Yes, because you're very active on social media, which is a great thing.
I'm not as active as I used to be.
No, you're not.
Back then, I was really active. I kind of eased it up a
engaged
little
more.
bit. Yeah.
So you must have been busy. That's why you eased up.
It's been busy.
Is that what
busy
it is?
times.
Okay, yes it is. Now, DeVonte, you're from Memphis, right?
Yeah. So little known Black history fact about DeVonte is that I was actually born in Chicago.
What?
And so most people would know that, but I moved here when I was 6 months, so I don't really count that.
Oh Lord, you on some Aretha Franklin stuff.
Exactly.
No, she moved away when she was like 6. Okay, 6 months. Okay.
So no, I consider myself a Memphis native.
Okay, so you moved here at 6 months, and what part of Memphis are you dwelling in at this time?
Oh, at this time?
In 6 months.
At 6 months? Oh, who knows? I was probably in Fraser somewhere in North Memphis. I don't know. We moved around a lot when I was a kid. It wasn't until about 3rd grade when we kind of like was at a place or a neighborhood where we were there for a long time.
Mm-hmm. So you're a product of Shelby County School System, Memphis City School System?
Legacy Memphis City School
Legacy, okay. Okay, where did you graduate?
I graduated from East High School. Okay. And so when I went to East, it was 7th through 12th. That's when it was middle school and high school. And so I went there. I was in the optional program and was able to, graduate, go on to college.
With honors?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
And you're a University of Memphis graduate?
Yeah, I'm a University of Memphis grad.
How was your days at UofM? What did you major in?
I majored in marketing management. But the funny story is that I wasn't even planning on going to UofM. I was originally planning on going to Howard. I actually wanted to get into radio and media and stuff.
Really?
And so that's why I'm excited to be here.
I see.
But I was gonna go to Howard's communication school. But when I was in school, although I was a honor student, no one really talked to me about scholarships and how to get money to go to college. They always told us, hey, you make good grades and you get 21 on the ACT, you can go wherever you want.
Right.
Yeah, that might be the case here in Memphis, not in some of these higher prestigious colleges. And so I didn't want to take out loans, and I didn't want to burden my mom with loans, so I ended up deciding to stay here. I ended up enrolling in Memphis actually a week before school got started.
Wow.
And my plan was to stay at home, save up some money, get my GPA up, and transfer to Howard. But life happens. And
what are some of your fondest memories of being a Memphis Tiger?
Well, the thing is that my college experience wasn't,
it wasn't all of that.
It was, because my mom kicked me out a month after I turned 18. So, all of my college experience was spent working 2 jobs.
Okay, you was on the grind.
and working through school. I got married when I was 20 years old. So,
really?
I was just so much, about building the life, and making sure that once I graduated, I can continue to hit the ground running, and I wasn't wondering what I was going to be doing next. So I didn't get the traditional college experience, which is one of the reasons why I had originally started doing academic advising with students was I wanted to help shape them to a place where they didn't have to go through the things that I went through, and they can experience being young and enjoying school and meeting those lifelong friends that a lot of people talk about when they were in college. My lifelong friends are the ones that I went to middle and high school with, because I wasn't making too many friends in college. I was too busy working.
Right. Just school and work.
I worked at Carmex. selling cars.
What? I can see your butt selling a car.
Slanging those joints.
You was making that commission money.
Yeah, and then I managed an after-school tutoring and mentoring program called Peer Power over at Fairleigh first, and then over at Northside.
Okay, so you've always been about the kids and education.
That's where I got my bug. Was, with Peer Power. I was like a high school tutor, and then when I ended up staying here, I ain't gonna say when I decided to stay here. When I ended up staying here, I convinced them to hire me as a college tutor, and then I just, I continued on with it, and been in education ever since.
I noticed on social media you guys do the morning huddle.
Yeah, the men's morning huddle.
How did that all come about?
So, good friend of mine, Cedric Brooks, said he hit me up one day, and this was probably about 3 years ago. And he was like, "Hey man, I saw this cool thing that they were doing in Indianapolis, where these guys went to the schools and greeted these kids, welcomed them back on the first day of school. And at the time I was working at KIPP. He was like, do you think that's something that we can do at one of the KIPP schools? So I was like, okay, cool. I reached out to one of the principals. Actually, I reached out to a couple principals, and one of them bid on it, and then we did it. It was super cool. They asked us to do it again. I think we did it in November, so it was after Thanksgiving break, and then we did it again after winter break. And when we did it after winter break, we had got an influx. We had did a lot more promoting. Because last time we didn't really promote it. We did a lot of promoting and getting people involved on social media, so it was a big turnout. Then all of a sudden we started getting all these requests. Can y'all come to my school? Can we come to this school? And so 3 years later now, we got a full calendar already. Yeah, it's been 3 years, and we already got a full calendar for this school year in a wait list, because the way that we try to arrange it is the whole idea is that you're giving back, but also we're understanding that you have very limited time. That's always the issue with a lot of people. It's I want to give back, or I want to support the kids, but I really don't have time to be a full-fledged mentor or go and read, etc. So it was no, this is 30 minutes, maybe an hour out of your day, and we only do it once a month. And so we've been very intentional around keeping it that way, but we've also been very supportive of other people who are now doing this across the city, because of course the more the merrier, and then we just know that we don't have the capacity to reach all of the schools, and all of the students deserve something like this.
So how do you think that you guys are impacting the students when you do the morning huddle? They just be smiling.
I think the funny thing is, I think the teachers and the staff and the parents get more of a kick out of it than the kids. The kids, initially they're always kind of hesitant and what's going on, especially if they're the elementary. You got the elementary kids who are stranger danger, and then you got the middle school kids who try to act like they so cool they can't do it, but eventually the kids get super excited and super pumped, because we're always super excited and super pumped. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, but guys are literally yelling, you can't help but to get energized by that, and so I think the kids enjoy it.
You used to work at KIPP, you mentioned that, and then you kind of had a little career change.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. You started working for Ronald McDonald.
Yeah. So I worked at KIPP ever since I got out of college. So I started out as an academic advisor, then helping to get our KIPP through college department off and running, transitioning to student recruitment. Was director of student recruitment, then eventually director of external affairs, and so was on kind of that trajectory of basically becoming the face of KIPP Memphis here, managing all of marketing, branding, communications, and in some cases fundraising. We ended up having a leadership change, and so when new leadership came in, it kind of did a reorg and moved a lot of resources from that operations, that marketing side, back into the academic side, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It was a bad thing in terms of me. I no longer had a job, but it was cool because the support was going back to teachers, instruction, etc. I'm gonna be frank and honest with you. When I was leaving, I kind of had the big head.
Oh, you had the big head.
I was like, oh man, once I let people know I'm on the free agency, Hey, I don't have offers out the wham.
Was it like that?
No, it was not like that.
It is, right?
It was not like that.
What was it like?
Going through unemployment was tough. I think, I technically didn't have a full-time job for 5 months. A friend of mine hit me up and told me about a position they had with McDonald's, and at first I was like, I ain't trying to work at no fast food place, but out of respect for her, I at least, looked into it, and the more I learned about McDonald's Corporation as a company, I was impressed by what they were doing and the changes that they were making. But more importantly, I was like, if I'm gonna get corporate marketing experience, who better to get it from than one of the most recognizable brands in the world? And so that's how I ended up at McDonald's.
I remember hanging out downtown. I was with Sue. We just hanging out. What was the name of the place?
Silly Goose.
It's the Silly Goose. And I'm headed to the inside of the building, and I see DeVonte.
Yeah, you see me over there in the cut, in the little corner.
In the cut. I'm like, what are you doing here? Hey.
Got my feet kicked up.
So we started talking about the podcast, and you had a big ass announcement that day. I was like, what? Oh yeah, the podcast would be perfect for this. Yeah. So I want you to share our conversation and your big announcement.
Yeah, so that's when I was, I think I had told you
it was
I was
very preliminary.
Yeah, I was leaving McDonald's, and
because I was like, what?
Yeah,
what?
exactly.
How can you leave? You just was with Mary J. Blige.
Exactly. But yeah, that I was leaving and I was going to be transitioning. And I told you around the time, I said, and when I'm wherever I go, I want to come on the podcast and share that information with you, your viewers, and I want people to be able to tune in. So funny thing is that again, unemployment, it doesn't happen, you don't just find a job like this. It takes time. And I think when me and you talked, that was probably July, late June, early July. And so I just recently signed my contract for my new job. Last week, so I've technically been unemployed for about 2 weeks. And what's funny about that is people see me all the time, because I told everyone I was leaving McDonald's, but I never said, one, that I had another job or where I was going. And so people will be like, hey, congratulations on a new gig. What you doing? I'm like, yeah, I'm in the ministry of Tommy. And they like, ministry of Tommy? I'm like, yeah, MOT. Like Tommy Strong. He ain't got no job, man.
Oh my God.
And so it would always be funny to see people's reactions. So shout out to MOT too. Got a couple MOT folks. But yeah, I just signed my contract, so I'm excited to announce that I will be coming back into education. I will be working over at Shelby County Schools Charter School office as an advisor, a school development advisor to charter schools. And so essentially what I'll be doing over there is managing all of the new school processes or applications. So when charter schools, and we just had a bunch that were approved, but when people apply to open up charter schools, I'll be managing that entire process, the applications, getting community feedback, and then making recommendations to the board on who they should approve and who they shouldn't approve.
Now, is this role, will you be the only person in this role, or are there multiple people that do that?
Yeah, so there are multiple people in the department, but I'll be the person managing that piece. So within the charter school office, you got the director, and you got people that are on the school and quality academic side. So they do more of the for the current schools, they're looking at test scores, they're looking at the quality of the teachers that they're bringing in, they're assessing them. On my side, it's more so of doing research and finding out best practices and making recommendations on who we can partner with moving forward to open up new schools, etc.
It's so much development going on in the city of Memphis, especially downtown. I know you heard about some of the new things going on. I actually just saw an article earlier today about them comparing Memphis to being like the next Austin, Texas.
Oh,
like
okay,
it's supposed to be like some rapid growth.
Yeah,
and my podcast guest, Rob Hunter Jr. with Robusto La Habana Mix, he was talking about all the development last week, and you know, they're downtown with their business.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to me, with you living downtown, do you see all of this development going on? Does it directly affect you right now?
Like right now, it's at a completely different level because there's so much investment now. And even I saw the article as well that you mentioned, and the I guess the 4 places that they talked about, none of those places were active when I first moved downtown, and so I've seen the development of all of them. And I, you know, for it to be downtown and like bringing in that energy downtown, I think it's good. But then I also look at it and I go, like, man, I really wish this type of stuff could happen, you know, in some of these other neighborhoods that actually need these resources and need millions of dollars to be poured into them, and what that could look like. And so, you know, when I read the article, it was like I kind of like turned my nose up at it, you know, and it's crazy because I live downtown. I'm enjoying all of those features and all of those places just by me living down here or down there. But at the same time, like this is actually not what the growth is, because we're not really addressing. You're talking about Memphis being the next Austin or Memphis on the rise. We're not rising unless we're addressing poverty and these under-resourced communities and giving people, you know, livable wages, and that's the only way we're gonna rise. Not because we're putting up buildings, you know, that go up in the sky.
Wow, I mean, it's just so interesting, you telling me, you know, about the things that you like, your career changes. And right now we got so much going on in the world, especially on the political side. And I know you were Jamal Whitlow's campaign manager for his vow with, he was running for Shelby County Clerk. And at this point in the game, I mean, we have a black man, Mr. Gillum, that just won his seat. Well,
he won
the primary for governor for the Democrats. And it's crazy because your president, 45, put out an ugly tweet after the guy won. You know, this is like the first time a black man has been the front runner for a seat in Florida. You know, of all racist states. I'm not gonna say y'all know what I'm talking about as far as politics go. You know, they like to run it in Florida. So what's so interesting is, one, the tweet that Donald Trump put out, just really being very negative towards Mr. Gillum's run for governor.
Yeah, but he bossed up on him though.
He bossed me, say you better at me.
You better at me next time.
Oh, I was like, yeah, so this is what we working with Andrew Gillum.
Right.
So what did Trump tweet? Do you remember exactly what he tweeted?
You know, I think what he said was how the other candidate was a stronger, you know, person, and how
Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, exactly, and that how Gillum was, you know, a socialist, and we, you know, not to have that. And so, you know, he addressed them pretty good. But then, you know, the Republican guy turned around and said some stuff too. I was listening to Jeff Johnson. I listened to Jeff Johnson on the Ricky Smiley. It's your podcast. But I listened to Jeff Johnson. He does these 3 things you should know, and so he mentioned the response from this guy, the Republican candidate, and he mentioned something along the lines of, one, we need to continue to do what we've been doing in Florida. And that we don't need anybody monkeying up.
This up.
Yeah, monkeying
Monkey
this up.
Who uses that term? Like, I don't even, that's like not even a common thing that you say.
Exactly, like, so you know it's intentional.
Oh my God.
But one of the things that I appreciated about Jeff's take on this. Jeff was like, I know a lot of people are going to focus on the monkey and it up piece. He was like, but we should be more concerned with the fact that he's talking about continuing the same thing that's been going on in Florida, which we know Florida been jacked up because
oh my God,
that's where we're seeing a whole bunch of issues, right? And so I thought it was cool of Jeff to say, I know we want to get riled up on this monkey and up thing, but what we need to be really riled up is the fact that he's trying to keep this the same as what it's been, and we know we absolutely need change. So let's focus on that and like make sure that does not happen.
Wow. You know what? I got one more thing for you before you go. And that's about your boy Kanye West. He was at a Chicago radio station, WGCI, with Kendra G. And she was letting him know how she felt about, his remarks about African Americans. She did. And Kanye actually apologized.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, why now? Is it because she put him on the spot? What was it? Do you think it was sincere? I mean, what?
I always, I try to, I'm a positive person, and I believe in, looking, seeing the best in people.
Redemption? Okay.
But I couldn't help but notice that Kanye didn't necessarily apologize about what he said. He apologized about how it made people feel. And him letting people down, and so what it made me realize is that one of Kanye's, because he also still did not necessarily denounce Trump or anything like that.
No, he did not denounce Trump.
And I think and you see this a lot with people like Kanye. We know people like Kanye who are loyal sometimes to a fault. And so, in Kanye's case, it's like, this is like my guy. I'm cool with him. Like, I'm not going to just simply throw him to the side just because everybody else hates him. But Kanye, like he mentioned about Trump in the interview, he said Trump wants to be liked by black people. That's what Kanye claims.
That's what he said.
And it's obvious and evident by this apology, that's what Kanye wants too. He's apologizing because he didn't realize how much he hurt his fan base by saying that, and he didn't realize, and he said it in the interview. He was like that people, how much people love me, right? And so it's like
how much people love me.
And so he's apologizing because he wants that love back, and he didn't realize that people was gonna turn that it was that bad that they would turn their back on him. And so that's what he apologized by, them being so hurt that they felt like they could no longer love him anymore. And so whether that's a sincere one or not, you kind of you got to take it. I also think that he didn't have to say it though. Because
I'm like, why now? Like, where did this come from?
He didn't have to say it because he
did that a long time ago.
He don't owe us anything. He can be in a bubble, for
he can go to Wyoming.
Exactly. So you there's some sincerity there, but I wish he could have said like, nah, that wasn't right. What I was saying about slavery and things like that. But I can appreciate him saying, I care enough about your feelings to make that apology. And I'm pretty sure he probably won't do anything like that again for that reason, unless he as he mentioned, he's off his, he gets ramped up and he ain't on his meds.
Let him come out with another album. We're gonna see Off the Hinges Kanye, just like we see Off the Hinges Trump. They kind of really share a lot of the same qualities.
That's probably why Kanye love him so much.
But my thing with Kanye is why now? I think it's a little too late. This should have been, as far as timing goes, you should have did this a long time ago. But I'm still listening to your music, Kanye. It's my job. I got to do it for the people.
Well, music is therapeutic for me, so I got to do it for me.
And you know what? That last album, it was very therapeutic, like you said. He really talking about what he been going through. I love the production on the album. What's your favorite track on that last year album?
You know what? I don't even know the names of the.
Yikes! You got I Know You Believe.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
I like that one. I like that one. Good. And how can people get in touch with you?
You can reach me on social media. So my Instagram is DP_901. My Twitter is Capo_DP, so CAPO_DP. I'm on Facebook, DeVonte Payton. You can, if you're trying to do something with the Morning Huddle, visit our page, Men's Morning Huddle, on Facebook. Also, I'm about to. Oh, I didn't even mention this. I'm thinking about doing me a little blog.
You did mention it, yes.
No, not just the beer
blog.
Not
just the beer.
So
okay.
The beer will be a part of the blog, and so people will be able to start reaching me on my blog, where I'm just kind of talking about different things that are going on.
One piece of advice: once you start it, be consistent. So, okay, well, Mr. DeVonte Payton, I have thoroughly enjoyed you. I wish you nothing but the best of luck.
Please hang up and try again.